to a Thai Football Podcast and episode 36. And the roving report tonight is from the PAT Stadium. It's Port against Trat. And just before we get underway, we've got a couple of lads who want to say a couple of words. We've got Jim, who was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and a friend of mine, Andy, who's come from Scarborough. Andy, what do you make of it out here?
This is my second visit, Rob. Absolutely love it. Buzzing atmosphere out here in the fan zone, and really looking forward to the game. And I think last time I came, I don't think Port were quite in the same position in the league as they are now, so it's going to be a good game.
What's your prediction?
3-0 Port.
Jim, obviously still getting over the euphoria of the Monson game. What do you reckon tonight, mate?
2-0, really uneventful and boring.
Well, that's not what my mates from Scarborough want to hear, but no, that's fair enough. You've always been one to voice your honest opinion. Have you any team news?
Tardelli's back, no Hamilton involved again.
Do you see anything more to that?
Well, they keep saying he's coming back, and then he never actually arrives back, so I don't really know. Nobody seems to have 100% certainty.
And of course, communications is very good as ever here.
I mean, you also got to remember with the system that you're 100% in, you can't have a foreign guy partially in. If you could have 3 on the field at any one time, he could sit on the bench if he's 80% and come on. You can't do that.
No.
So you kind of look like you're really not involved, when if you're in if you're in England, you could come on for he could be on the bench and come on for 10 minutes. So I don't think there's a big problem there. He'll be back. We're all right. Hopefully we've got enough against this lot, but also Port, you never know.
Yeah, Dale, 20 minutes on the clock here at PAT. Patton Paul puts Port ahead. A dull start, to be quite honest. Trat regretting an easy chance that they missed early on. Port in control now. It's a matter of damage limitation, I would think, for the visitors. It's half-time here, gathering our thoughts underneath the bowels of the B-zone here at PAT Stadium, where Trat, after going 1-0 down, I said it was going to be damage limitation. They got themselves together, and there are gaps at either end of the pitch, bigger than the gaps in Joe Jordan's mouth where his teeth are meant to be. Honestly, so many attacks at either end, and Trat will find themselves a little bit peeved to go down the tunnel at 1-0 down. A lot can happen in the second half here. Both keepers being tested, decent crowd in, decent night's football. So we're back outside, it's full time and it's ended up Port 1, Trat 0. But I tell you what, that was a game that could have gone either way. Trat gave it everything. Somporn in goal for Port, pulled off a couple of saves, one of them miraculous. Such a strong hand to keep it out. Probably the 2 best players outfield were Jorge Felipe, the big Brazilian centre-back for Trat. Charlie Clough having a fine game for Port. 1-0, can't argue with that, clean sheet. A very rare result is 1-0 at Port. But Trat on that showing, well, how were they at the bottom? We're outside the PAT and I'm joined with one of my mates from Scarborough. First experience of Thai football, Fred, what did you think?
Yeah, good, really good night out, Rob, thanks, yeah. Mainly round beer, so very similar to our non-league football, but yeah, really good. I don't know how they run about in that heat, but a good night, thank you, yeah.
What would you say standard-wise? We're chatting inside the stadium.
Hard one, isn't it? Certainly a slower game than the game we watch at Conference North or National League North. Technically probably very similar, but if you're going to play for 90 minutes in that heat, you've got to slow it down and take your chances when they come. So a different game, almost like a summer game really, I suppose.
Has there been anything you've noticed tonight that could possibly enhance the experience back home?
Well, interesting. I mean, in the stadium, I'll be honest, in the stadium, absolutely excellent. Your supporter experience, absolutely spot on. Around the sides, some rough edges that you probably won't get away with in the UK, but the overall experience is great.
Yeah, good stuff. You reckon a team from National North would give these lads a game, or?
I reckon they would if it was a bit colder, yeah. I think that would be, we'll have to meet somewhere in the middle, but yeah, I think a similar standard. I think they'd come and hold their own, but a lot more intensity, but a lot less intense heat probably.
So any lads coming over here on holiday, you'd certainly recommend this sort of experience?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the prices are unbelievable compared to town. I'd do it on that alone. I am from Yorkshire, so yeah, no, definitely worth a look. Not a terrible standard. Great night out. Everyone's enjoyed it. So yeah, brilliant.
Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, pal.
Yeah, Dale, we've had a great night here. So with that, I hand over to you at Chonbury. Hope you get as good a night as we've had.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, bit of an emotional one for me today as I return to the Theatre of the Absurd, also known as Chonbury Stadium. It's my first time here for a few months, so I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to catching up with a few people, which I will do later on. It's now a couple of hours before kick-off. The odd fan milling around, and we've got plenty of odd fans. So I'm going to have a quick scout about, see if I can notice any differences from the last time I was here, and I'll probably pop into the shop, see what's for sale, spend a bit of money. I've been in the club shop, bought myself an away shirt and a pair of shorts, and even more exciting than that, the team bus has just arrived. So the players are about to disembark. There's a small crowd waiting for them by the entrance. I'm guessing they're going to pelt them with rotten fruit or something. It's probably what they deserve after the season they've given us. Or maybe that's a bit unfair. And it's very unlikely, given the nature of Thai football fans, that they'll be pelting the team. They'll probably just applaud them. But here they come. Bus door is now opened. And we're waiting for the players to get off. They seem quite reluctant. Can't think why. Could be because it's match day. All joking aside, I am quite excited about this game. I'm not holding out much hope that we're going to win it, but it's just nice to be back, really. Like I say, it's home. That's it. The players have got off the coach, gone into the dressing rooms, all ready for action in about 90 minutes' time. I'm heading up to my usual pre-match meeting spot and watering hole. I'll be bringing you a few more reports over the course of the afternoon and evening. So I've made it to the Salah in the fitness park behind the away end, and I've met up with three reprobates, Val, Tim and Claire. If you're a regular listener, you'll have heard these three before, so anything could happen in the next couple of minutes. So I'm going to start with Tim, it's a very special week for Tim actually. He's turning 60 this week, so we've been celebrating for the past few days, and the celebrations look like they're going to go on for a bit longer. But today it's all about the football. So Tim, thoughts on today?
Yeah, well, it's just another game. At the end of the day, it's just another game. We're playing Sukhothai. I always like to watch Sukhothai. They always bring a lot of fans. I see they're just sort of 3 points above us and haven't been playing too well, haven't been scoring many goals. So I think we have an opportunity here. The last game we saw, I was really pleased. I thought we played quite well. It's really hard to say. I think we are in the bottom three, so things are looking pretty tough. I think Tero seem to be in free fall, so I mean that's terrible news for them, but it's obviously a boon for us, and I can't say, you know, I'm quite content about that, unfortunately. Today I think it's a vital game for us. I think we're at home, we're playing a team that's only 3 points ahead of us. We need to win this, we really need to get at them, and we need to control the game. And also we've got to shore up our shaky defence, which has been the real problem that we've had all year. Thanks.
Thank you. That was a very measured reply. I was expecting something a bit more irreverent. So I'm going to turn to Claire now, who's doing a crocheting in the corner. Now, again, regular listeners will know that Claire's our fashion expert. So we've not actually seen what the two teams are wearing today. So Claire, what about my outfit? What do you think about what I'm wearing?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I like it. Nice t-shirt. Quite cool. Shorts are kind of neutral. Converse, yeah, can't go wrong with Converse. Look cool.
Thank you. I'll tell you, that's a huge compliment coming from you. And what is it you're making in the bag? It looks very interesting.
I'm remaking my sister's crocheted blanket for her because bits of it disintegrated. So I'm re-crocheting it with wool that was already used, some of which has got cat hair in, which is making me a bit allergic, but there we are.
Brilliant. And another tip there, so if you're coming to watch Chonbury, bring something to do so that if the match doesn't live up to your expectations, you can occupy yourself. It can be crocheting, it can be a book, it can be a crosswords.
You can always call your mum from the cafe over the road if you fancy a cup of tea.
And I had a crossword.
There you go, that's it. Oh, it's very windy today, so you could perhaps do some kite surfing around the fitness park. So, over to Val. Val, your thoughts on today and the season in general?
Okay, so I'm on a bit of a high because my team in the UK, Leeds, just obviously beat Leicester on Friday.
I'll be editing that bit out, by the way.
So I'm willing lots of good, look and good play from Ellen Road over to Chonburi today. So I'm optimistic, hoping for another win.
I think we all are. It's been a pretty desperate season, hasn't it? I think it's fair to say we're in dire straits, and I'd rather be listening to dire straits than having to watch this team at the moment. So thanks to the three of you. We'll probably have some more words from you later on when you've taken a few more drinks, no doubt. So that's probably the most sense I'm going to get out of them today, so make the most of it. Okay. I've just met up with one of our regular correspondents, Bill, Sukhothai fan, and he's in good spirits ahead of the game. He wasn't going to be committed to make a score prediction. I couldn't drag one out of him, and I couldn't get him to come on the podcast. Maybe later, maybe after the game. Hopefully we'll meet up again. But yeah, we've just both been discussing the merits of our two clubs, and I don't think either of us are particularly happy with how things have gone this season, but we'll see. I mean, I did tell him I was expecting us to lose today. I stick by what I've been saying over the past few weeks, that we've pretty much thrown in the towel as far as I'm concerned. Tonight will either confirm or otherwise. It's not looking good, but we'll see. So I've made it into the ground, met a couple of old friends outside, which was lovely. A couple of the old Thai fans who I've not seen for a very long time, so that was quite nice. A few minutes gone, decent turnout from Sukhothai, very impressed with it. The crowd as a whole is not as bad as I was fearing, and we played for 4 minutes and there's no goals. I'll give an update at half time. I'm not going to do constant updates, so I'll be back at half time with an overall view of the first 45 minutes. But it's lovely to be back. I can't really explain that feeling of being up here in my regular seat watching Chonburi FC. So it's half time, Chonburi 3, Sukhothai 0. I'm outside my usual half-time location, just outside the main stand. I've got Tim, Val and Claire here. There are three very happy people, along with myself. So, Val, thoughts on that first 45 minutes?
To be 3-0 up is beyond expectations. I just want to add something about the Sukhothai kit, which I thought would be orange, but it's a Mank replica. How could they do that? But anyhow, I am delighted for Chonburi.
It's that Leeds United influence clearly rubbed off that you referred to way before kick-off.
Absolutely, yeah. All the goodwill coming all the way over from Ellen Road.
And Claire, your crocheting hasn't come out of the bag at all during that first 45 minutes, which is probably all we need to know. What have been your impressions so far?
Well, most of the time I was on the phone to my mum, but I did manage to get into the stadium in time to see all three goals, which was very nice.
It's either you or me then that is responsible for this, because obviously I cannot believe what I've seen in that first 45 minutes. Surely that's the best they've played all season.
It's definitely you, Dale, because I've been here on various occasions where nothing like this has happened.
Tim, you're looking very pensive there. I think you're about to unleash, aren't you? So I'm going to give the microphone over to Tim, and he's going to give his thoughts on that first 45 minutes.
I can't really say too much, really. I mean, 3-0 up at half time. That's the best performance of the season so far that we've seen. So thank you, Dale, for coming. It's been outstanding to see you here, and good to have you back in your old seat as well. But I mean, going back to the football, I think one of the things that's taken us a long time to realise is to bed all the players in, and youngsters certainly need confidence, and we're playing a lot of youngsters at the moment. And today is a confidence game. Things have worked well. It's great to see, our striker getting a hat-trick in the first half. We just haven't seen anything like that at all the whole season. We've seen glimpses, but really, like second half in Trat, he was outstanding. but since then, nothing. Today, I mean, as it stands, half time, we're out of the relegation zone, thank God. We have had a season of doom and gloom, and this is one of our few highlights, so we're just enjoying it whilst Dale is here.
There is another 45 minutes to go, and as a football fan, you are by nature a pessimist. So I am worried about the next 45 minutes, even though we're 3 up. A couple more goals early in the second half will definitely convince me that we're going to win today. But that has been very enjoyable and very unexpected. More later. Break in play, so I've stepped outside just to recap the first 10-15 minutes of the second half. I'm not happy with the way Chonburi is sitting back. In my opinion, we should just keep playing the way we were playing in the first 45 minutes. Allowing them to come on to us is a mistake. We saw this against Police Terror the other week when they scored twice in injury time. 3-0 might sound comfortable, but they get a goal, they get another. Anything could happen. So I just want us to show a bit more intent and play with the same sort of intensity that we played in the first half. 70 minutes in, still 3-0 to Chonburi. It would be remiss of me not to ask Claire her thoughts on the Sukhothai kit. Val has already said it looks too much like Man United. So Claire, Sukhothai all in red?
Yeah, I actually don't dislike it, to be honest. I think it's all right. Quite nice. A gradient of red as you move down from the shoulders to the knees, getting progressively darker.
But you're right, the shorts do look darker, don't they?
The shorts are maroon.
So we've got red shirts, maroon shorts and red socks. No, the bottom half of the shirt blends with the shorts.
Yes, it's a gradient. So it starts at the shoulders and works its way down to the knees. The shorts and the shirts don't disrupt the gradient. It would be perfect for a year 7 learning to create. It would be a 10 out of 10 for any year 7 who could do that, gradually creating shapes.
So any secondary art teachers listening, there you go. You've got your lesson plans for the next couple of months. Study Sukhothai's red away kit. Full time, Chonburi 3, Sukhothai 1, and with Tim, and he's going to give us his impressions of the match as a whole. Tim, over to you.
Yeah, really pleased with that. 3-1 in the end. A little bit disappointing with the one goal at the end. We had a player sent off right in the last couple of minutes. God only knows what happens. There's a few handbags at the end, and Chonburi player got his second yellow. It wasn't a yellow. He definitely shouldn't have been sent off. I think they were quite fortunate in that their player only got a yellow, but I mean that's the way the game goes. 3-1, they had one shot on target the whole game. I think I'm really pleased with that as a Chonburi fan, which showed us that the defence is for once working. Goalkeeper looked outstanding throughout. So yeah, I mean we're now out of the bottom 3. Yeah, onwards and upwards. That's all we can say. Onwards and upwards, Chonburi. We're still alive.
It did get a bit feisty in the last couple of minutes. But what did you think about our tactics in that second half? I couldn't believe what we were doing. I thought we should have just carried on playing the way we were in the first 45.
Yeah, Patel, the thing is, you've seen this one game in isolation. In fact, compared to the whole season, which has been woeful, that first half was an anomaly. We can't continue to play like that for a whole game. So, to be honest, 3-0 up at half time. What else are you going to do? You're going to shut up shop. You're going to try and keep it tight at the back. And in all fairness, I think that's what we did. I think they scored a goal, but I mean they didn't look like scoring a goal before they did. They scored in 80, 86, 87 minutes. Normal management that I would go. As a fan, I'd want us to attack. Yeah, you're right. But as a team and a team as a whole, yeah, that was exactly the right thing to do in the second half.
So overall, very pleasing night's work. Great 3 points, great win against one of our relegation rivals. Are we going to stay up, Tim?
I think it all depends with our away form. Home form's looking good the last few games. Away form usually with Chonburi is pretty woeful, isn't it? I think our next game is going to be key. Because I'm looking at the fixtures, and our next game is winnable. but after that we've got 4 or 5 games on the trot which I don't think we're going to get anything from. So I think we needed 3 points today. I think equally our next away game we need 3 points from.
But it's been a brilliant night, and thanks so much for your company. I've enjoyed it, and I do miss you guys. I really do, so thank you. So I'm with a Chonburi fan about an hour after the game has finished. He comes from Finland. What is your name, please?
Kim.
Kim. So I'm with Kim, who's from Finland. What did you think of the game tonight?
Game was very tough, but how can I say, somebody was a little better.
So did you enjoy the game?
Of course.
Yeah.
I like the football in here, and same like you like the football in every place.
Yes.
You're from England and you love the football. I know.
So how long have you been watching Chonburi?
I live here. I live in Bansan, not so far away from here. And that's why I came here and look football games in Chonburi.
That's great, thank you. Do you think we will stay in T1 this season?
Let's talk about later.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Kim has got to go now because his taxi's arrived. So, bye-bye, thank you. It's a good hour and a half after the match is finished, outside Chonburi Stadium. A deserted Chonburi Stadium, a silent Chonburi Stadium. But what a wonderful evening it's been. Great company, great game, actually, very entertaining. And just been out for food with Bill, the Sukhothai fan, who still was reluctant to say anything on the podcast. But what great company he's been. Really enjoyed sitting chatting with him about Thai football, Scottish football, everything really. Been really entertaining. Lovely fella. And that's it, really. It's been a great night. Really enjoyed it. There's no substitute for getting out for games. I know Rob says this every single week, but he's spot on. So, to conclude my report from Chonburi Stadium tonight, Chonburi won 3-1, great result for the Sharks, but even more than that, a wonderful, wonderful evening with some lovely people. And with that, it's back to me and Rob in the studio.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Taylor, and I'm so happy you did get back to Chonburi. Near the emotion and how much it mattered to you. I don't always get it, I'll be honest, but fantastic stuff.
It was a lovely night just to be at the ground and obviously catch up with old friends, meet Bill, obviously, which was a highlight, and bump into Kim, the Finnish supporter. The match as well was great. Well, the first half in particular, like I said during the course of the report, I think the tactics in the second half, I think we got wrong. We should have just kept going. We were on top, they were rattled, and there was no way they were coming back from 3-0 if we'd have carried on playing as we did. But overall, fantastic night. Really, really enjoyed it, and I'm glad that came across.
I think it did, mate, and I think now and again people might start listening to me predictions. I told you were safe a month ago.
There's a long way to go yet, and 45 minutes doesn't define the whole season. But I am hoping if they play like they did in that first half for the rest of the season, picking up points here and there, then we will be safe. I mean, there are far worse teams in the division. It's just when we're poor, we're very poor. Sunday was probably an anomaly, and I certainly got that impression talking to Tim and Val. I mean, I might contact the club and ask them if they can pay for me to stay, because if that's how they play when I turn up. And the only other game I've seen this season was Buriram away, so I'm clearly a lucky charm. I'm going to put that to the test on Wednesday night when I go to the cup tie.
I mean, I was at that Buriram away game with you, and Lira looked superb to me until he got sawn off that night. And I just can't understand how he hasn't scored more goals this season. It sometimes takes time to bed in, and you've had a lot of upheaval.
He looked great. Probably as good as any striker in the T1 on Sunday.
He's got the physique and everything. Maybe just confidence in it in front of goal. You never know. You never know. As you say, 45 minutes doesn't define a season, but I think there's a lot of promising signs there.
That's comforting to hear, Rob. Now, he was reluctant to speak on the night, but Bill has had a couple of days to consider it, and he sent us in his thoughts on Sunday's game, Chonburi 3, Sukhothai 1. So here's Bill with his match report.
Thai Football Podcast Match Reports.
The report on the Chonburi Sukhothai game on Sunday. After 2 days of suffering in silence, I am ready to submit my report on the Sukhothai Firebats adventures, or should I say misadventures, in Chonburi. We bounced out of bed at 5 in the morning, full of vim, vigour, and a desire to plant a lot of space between us and the relegation struggle. When we arrived in Chonburi, the first thing we saw were the two sharks guarding the entrance to the stadium complex. They had peeling paint and looked dilapidated, a good sign. We were introduced to Chonburi Football Club with a tale of them selling quality players, a coach needing to be replaced, and a general air of resignation to a future life in the second division. Yes, the Firebats were at full strength. The coach was brimming with confidence after his strategic draw with league-leading Bangkok United. Let's get this victory underway. The game started with us playing our game of solid defence, interspersed with breakaways. Goodbye relegation struggles. We were on our way. In the 30th minute, our plans received a setback. We were a goal down. No problem, this has happened before. It just means that it will take longer to get our success. 4 minutes later, and we were 2 goals down. Oh no! Time to think of the police game. Remember? 2 goals down with 20 minutes to play? This was going to be difficult, but it was not impossible. Come on, Firebats. God help us. 3 goals down, and it's not even half-time yet. What gave Chonburi the idea of impersonating Buriram? In the second half, we finally got our solid defence together, and the Sharks never came close to scoring again. Later, it was cruelly suggested to me that the Firebats did not get our defence together. It was just that Chonburi decided that 3 was enough, and they would sit back and defend their lead. In the end, we did get a goal back, but by far too little, too late. One last observation on the game. Number 91, our fresh face from Ghana, who was going to reignite our attack, was replaced before half-time. Our coach is having to think about the players that he is going to use in our team. A friend told me a long time ago that you do not enjoy life's highs if we do not endure its lows. Right now, I need a high. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Fran, and I'm listening to a Thai football podcast. Everything you ever wanted to know about Thai football and so much more.
Sounded like you had a good time on Saturday as well, and your mates enjoyed themselves.
Yeah, first visit for the majority of them. Well, only one fella Andy had been before to one Port game. The rest of them all debutants at Thai football, and they absolutely loved it. I did comment on Twitter late on Saturday night. Jim, who I interviewed, he didn't really rate the game on Twitter, and everyone who went, although it was the first Thai game, they go to a lot of English games, and they all thought it was a decent watch. So it just shows it's all about opinions.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I saw the bulk of it on telly on Saturday night. But like you say, you as a fan, it's quite difficult, isn't it? You have a very different perspective on things when you're watching as a supporter of one club. I mean, if you go as a neutral or just watch it for entertainment, you take something entirely different away, I think. So there's probably an element of that in Jim's comments.
Sure. I thought Track were all right as it goes.
Yeah, they weren't too bad, were they? And what did your mates think of the stadium and the experience as a whole?
They'd loved the fan zone. They thought it was like nothing they've ever seen. Pretty much the same description as some of the safety aspects. To put it into context, a lot of them are Scarborough Athletic supporters back home in England, and it's a relatively new build as a stadium there, and a couple of them have been involved on the board, and they know that the hurdles you have to jump through in England to get a safety licence. They were absolutely astonished going through the gates at Port on Saturday and then under the B zone, which is like Steptoe's Yard, and blocks of concrete all over. They just won't get it over the line. They wouldn't be allowed allowed to play in England in a stadium like that. But it just shows people here are a bit more responsible.
But I think there's far worse places you could have taken them. If they wanted to see rustic, off the top of my head, I could name about a dozen grounds that would have horrified them even more, I think.
For sure, yeah.
Anyway, onto a ground that is at the complete opposite end of that scale, Ratbury Stadium. We've got our regular weekly report from Reza, and he's got a friend with him this week, so 2 for the price of 1. And I think it was another 1-0 win, wasn't it? Spoiler alert. Anyway, here's Reza and friend with their match report.
Thai Football Podcast. Match reports.
Good evening from Dragon Solar Park in Ratchaburi. Today is the Thai League match, weekday 19 between Ratchaburi FC and Uthai Thani. The match has ended 1-0 for the home team. Due to my condition, I will ask my friend about the match report today. Here is Agam. He is Indonesian, also supporting Ratchaburi. Agam, what do you think about the game today?
The fourth win for Ratchaburi, 1-0 as always. Fourth game, tight game. Sweet revenge for Ratchaburi after in the first leg they beaten 1-0 also by Uthai Thani, so it's a good game. Yeah, it's very good game and entertaining.
Yeah, thank you Agam. So yeah, the game itself, the Ratchaburi tried to score many chances in the first half, also the second half, but after the goal from Jonathan Kemdi, we just tried to hold the ball and keep the winning. Lucky for us, even Uthai Thani in the last 10 minutes trying to attack, but we still keep the 3 points and give us the 5th in the league. Come on, you Dragons!
Well, I tell you what, are we going to be talking about Ratbury in the Champions League?
Well, they're certainly the form team at the moment. I mean, if you discount Buriram United, I think they've won all 4 games 1-0, haven't they, in this second leg so far?
If you don't let goals in, you're going to go far.
I mean, they were struggling near the bottom until this recent run of form, so don't rule them out for a top 4 finish, absolutely.
It's a long way to go, the top 4 are good sides, but I'll tell you what, nobody's going to fancy going down there.
Not on current form, no. I think you're right. It's a tough place to go anyway. And I don't think anybody's going to fancy playing them home or away at the moment.
No. You made mention of it there. It is a superb stadium. I recommend that as a visit to anyone who's not been round the top of the Gulf there. Great stadium. Like an old-fashioned English ground, isn't it? Maybe like the long side at Burnley for those of you with memories long enough.
And talking of great grounds and top 4 teams, our next report comes from Matt Jenkins, who arrived very late at BG Pathum United against Bangkok United, his team, at the weekend. So he sent us a report, but it's a written report, so you're going to have to listen to me reading it out, I'm afraid, rather than Matt's slightly more calming tone. So this is me reading out Matt Jenkins' report from Bangkok Glass against Bangkok United at the weekend.
Thai Football Podcast. Match reports.
At 43 minutes, I would have sold a leg for a 2-2 draw. At 90 minutes, I couldn't help feeling a bit disappointed we hadn't won. There were lots of odd VAR checks as well. Well, there's a surprise. Great stadium, though. Probably my favourite in Thailand. We did look tired and suffering from a post-Champions League exit hangover. And at 25 minutes, I genuinely thought that's our season over. Poklaw's goal and whatever Tok Chuan said at half-time probably kept our season alive. Second half, we were much better. And to quote a friend, it looked like BG had a Champions League game midweek as well, as they ran out of steam. Chanatip is an absolutely brilliant player. He's miles better than that team, but even he ran out of steam. We could and should have wrapped it up Bangkok United style on the 93rd minute. Next weekend is massive. That's the game at Buriram United on Sunday. Hopefully, we rest, recharge, focus, and don't allow nailed-on poor decisions next week to affect us. So there you have it. That was Matt's thoughts on the weekend, the big game, I suppose it was in T1. Did you catch any of the match, Rob, or have you any thoughts on what Matt said?
I'm afraid I didn't catch it. I was enjoying the splendours of a rooftop bar on Sukhumvit. But I tell you what, that is a big comeback. And it was a big game for BG, don't forget. They were still in the title hunt, but that might have extinguished their hopes. I tell you what, it's massive this Sunday. It's so big. But the problem Bangkok United have got now is I feel that Buriram will be more than happy with a 0-0 on Sunday.
Yeah, they've certainly got the upper hand at the moment, haven't they? So yeah, you're right. I think they'd be happy with a draw on Sunday. And it is turning into a 3-horse race. I'm not going to discount Port and Bangkok United just yet. But as you say, I think BG, that's it for them now. And they could be caught by Ratbury, as we mentioned earlier.
not trying to put down Bangkok United in any way, but from here to the end of the season and the momentum that Buriram are carrying with them, you suspect that they're more likely to pick up points against the teams below them. You know what I mean? In the lower half of the table, you always feel that Bangkok United have got a draw in them at one of those games, which is 2 vital points at the moment.
I know what you mean. I think, and as much as it pains me to say it, I think I'm now coming round to your way of thinking, and I think it is going to be Buriram United's title. They looked awesome. All right, it was, put it into perspective, it was police terror at the weekend, but they could have scored for fun. It's no exaggeration to say that could have been 12 or 15. Every time they went forward, they looked like they were going to score.
Well, we've got to say, we've both called it wrong. And Jamie at Buriram, he could have very easily sacked the manager, could Mr. Chitchob, but he hasn't. He's stuck by his guns, and Papas is delivering.
We were convinced, weren't we, at one point? I think every week we were mentioning on the podcast how surprised we were that he hadn't gone. So, yeah, I mean, you've got to give credit where it's due there. I think he clearly saw something in his manager and, as you say, stuck by him. They've invested in a few new players as well who seem to have made a fantastic impression. So, yeah, I mean, it is hard now to see anyone other than Buriram United winning that title. The only spanner in the works could be if Bangkok United managed to pull off a win on Sunday.
I think we've had a few more weeks in it now, but I did say by the start of April it'd be over.
Can we just mention at this point, talking of predictions, I see my boys, Nongbuur Pichaya, had a narrow win at the weekend, squeezed out Kasetsart in an 11-goal thriller.
Yeah, Kasetsart sadly only with one of them, obviously. Crikey, that is some win, isn't it?
I picked the wrong week to go. I was there the other week and they scraped to a 1-0 victory over Chantaburi. But to be fair, I wouldn't have changed it. I was at Chonburi on the same night, so I wouldn't have changed that for the world. But yeah, I mean, I think that sends out a message, doesn't it? 10-1. They look nailed on now. And it's starting to look like Nakhon Ratchasima will join them as well for the second automatic place.
I would say so. That was a big win for them the other night, wasn't it?
And then a scrap for the playoff places.
I wouldn't want to pick any one of those 4 in the playoffs, anyone. Whoever hits form at the right time. There's a long way to go yet.
Outside T1 and T2, it's been a big weekend in T3 and the start of the Semi-Pro League. Now, this is your forte, Rob, so are you able to sum up what happened in T3 at the weekend and the start of the Semi-Pro League? There were some big crowds, weren't there, at those games, I saw?
There was 800 at Ubon Poly, which is the old Ubon United team. And I believe I saw one in even higher than that.
Yeah, I think there was one in 4 figures. I saw something on Twitter. See, this is how much research I've done, Rob. There was one, I think, that had broke the 4-figure barrier, which is incredible, isn't it, at that level?
It sure is, isn't it? And it shows that there are clubs that are treading water in T3. And I know we say it time and time again, they've got to find some way to restructure it and get progressive teams in there and give them a chance to progress up the league.
That's got to be the way forward, hasn't it? And your boys, Sisaket United, clinched the North East title with a fantastic win against Masarakom on Saturday.
There was 1,700 at that game.
They must be confident now going into the playoffs.
Well, you'd think so. The draw, incidentally, is Tuesday afternoon for that. The fixtures will come out. So by the time you're listening to this, folks, have a look on the excellent Thai League 3 Twitter feed that Sven updates. The fixtures should be on there.
And how does it work from now on, Rob? Are you able to tell us that? Because I'm still a bit confused as to what happens next.
Right. Basically, there's 6 regional T3 leagues, as you know. The top 2 from each one progress. So now we have 12 teams left. There's a north and south section that they're split equally into. The northern section has obviously the northern and northeast, along with the east division from previously, which leaves west, south and Bangkok playing in the southern block. The top team from each one goes straight up, and then there's a playoff between the 2 second place teams. So they've got 5 more games each. The winners of the regional leagues get 3 home games. The runners-up get 2 home games.
Who do you fancy to get promoted out of all that?
I think Bangkok United will go up. Bangkok United. I apologise, Bangkok United listeners. Bangkok FC will
just
go.
Stop right there. This was the point I was making last week about Konkan United. This is why it annoys Michael so much as well. Carry on.
I must be honest, I do fancy Seasicket United in the north, and I would suggest the additional playoff game for the third place will be Mara Sarakam against Songkhla or Ang Thong.
So we'll revisit that in a couple of weeks and see how right you are. But it's hard to disagree with that. My knowledge of T3 isn't as great as yours, but they'd certainly be my favourites based on what I've seen and what I've learned this season.
Well, talking of which, one of the teams that we mentioned there, well, a couple of the teams we mentioned there got intriguing FA Cup games just after this podcast goes out on Wednesday afternoon and evening. We've got Songkhla against Bangkok United and Bangkok FC against Buriram United. Two cracking ties.
Yeah, they'll be worth watching, won't they? And I think the Bangkok FC game has sold out, hasn't it? I was reading somewhere this week.
More or less, certainly the away section has.
Which is fantastic again. And as we said a couple of weeks ago, that'll be a good test for them just to see where they're at the moment. They have got a lot of momentum. We do mention them quite a lot on this programme. So yeah, it's good to see them doing well and getting rewarded with a fantastic home draw, it has to be said.
Indeed, yeah. So some cracking games ahead this week, and get yourselves out over this next week, in fact, with the FA Cup and the semi-pro. The T3 does take a break this weekend, which is very kind and quite surprising in a way, that they give them a few more than 4 days to arrange their hotels and transport.
So it's not a 6-week break then, like we used to in T1?
I believe it's the first week in March until the first week in April. That's 5 weekends over and done with. And the Semi-Pro League finishes not too much longer after that. So everyone knows where they are, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and we'll be giving plenty of coverage to that over the coming weeks as well. So I think that's about it for this week. It's been great to get out and about. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks to all the contributors, to everyone who contributed to Rob's report. So that's Jim, Andy, Fred, and to everyone who contributed to my report. That's Tim, Val, Claire, Bill, Kim. Thanks, guys. And just before we go, there is something I forgot to mention, Rob. You've become a bit of a celebrity now, haven't you? What's this story?
Yeah, it just shows the power of the podcast. I was in those not very sizable toilets just inside the ground at PAT on Saturday, and a young fella came up. He says, "You're Rob Bernard off the podcast, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I recognised your voice." So thanks ever so much. He made a comment that made my mates laugh, so I owe him a beer for that. If it makes some of them laugh, he's a genius.
Fantastic. You need to be careful though, Rob. It's a slippery slope once you start getting famous.
Honestly, folks, we say it every week. Feedback, we love it. You want to send your reports in, we love it. More the merrier.
And just talking of meeting celebrities in public toilets, I once stood next to Lloyd Cole at a urinal on a service station toilet in England back in the mid-90s. It's my claim to fame.
I hope it won't busy or there'd have been a commotion.
And on that note, I think that's a great place to leave it. So thank you all again for listening. It's been lovely recording this today. Normally when we do these recordings, I'm wrapped in a massive duvet in a freezing cold flat with damp on the walls. But today I'm looking out over the beautiful sea at Bangsen. It's lovely and sunny and everything's calm. So it's been great. Thanks so much, Rob.
Yeah, take care, everyone. Get yourselves out to a match.